to extend that streak tonight and vanquish one of the NCAA's most storied programs.
He played in the WHL, I played in NCAA. Why? What led us to these decisions and what caused our paths to change course? Well, first let's back this up all the way to Bantam AAA hockey. We were on every team together, including our Bantam year, which was when we were 14 years old. And the reason this year is so significant is because this is the year of the WHL draft. Man, how bad did you want to get drafted in the WHL?
Well, obviously pretty bad. I mean, that was the first year I think we had rural AAA in Manitoba, so it was kind of the first chance for kids outside of Winnipeg to get exposure to more WHL scouts, and thankfully we had a really good team. So the end goal, aside from team goals, was to get drafted. I got drafted by the Kamloops Blazers in the 6th round, I think 123rd overall.
For me, I did not get drafted. I expected to get drafted. I got phone calls, people were talking to me, but when that draft came around, I did not get picked. So that was a big letdown for me. I still wanted to make it to the WHL. When I was younger, the only thing on my mind was like, I'm playing in the WHL. That was like the NHL for me. I guess that year of the Bantam Draft and you getting drafted and me not, that was kind of the changing point of when our two paths really took a different course. Ever since that last game of Bantam hockey, me and him never played on the same team again.
So after Bantam, obviously Lawson didn't get drafted, I did. And the next season, we both tried out for the midget AAA team. Lawson ended up making the team, I got cut. So I spent a year playing high school, and Lawson played midget there.
What was that like? Was it hard for you having to play high school?
It was disappointing because you're an athlete and you're competitive, and you always want to be at the highest level, but I think it was good for me because, playing with your high school team, I got to play with a lot of close friends. We didn't have the best year, and it was pretty discouraging at times, but it's just one of those things where you had to make the best of the situation.
So after that, you decided to go to OHA, which is a prep school, right?
Yeah, so it'd be like a hockey academy, basically like a prep school.
Why did you decide to go there?
Well, after my year of high school, Kamloops still offered me a contract. I did sign with Kamloops, and then my dad ran into an old family friend that had moved to Penticton, BC. He was just kind of talking about where I was at in hockey and stuff like that, and just kind of said, oh, there's a hockey academy here, and Cole ever wanted to check it out, we could bill it. I kind of ended up there, and it kind of worked out well because I got to live, with people that I knew right off the bat. So, all in all, it made the billet transition easier, and it was, very high level hockey too, which was what I needed that year.
And it just shows you, like, you can be getting drafted, and then the next year you get cut from the team, and it's just like so many different highs and lows in hockey.
And to build on that, I think I went from getting drafted to high school hockey, got cut from midget, to going to a hockey academy, and then from the time I finished my high school season, I think it was 8 or 9 months till I won my first WHL game. Thought about that the other day.
So he goes to OHA in his grade 11 year, and I go to play in the MJHL for Winkler. At that point, that's when we were 16, and I definitely still wanted to play in the WHL at that point. I had the confidence that I could still work my way up and make a team there, and I actually ended up getting listed by the Calgary Hitmen when I was 17 years old from the MJHL.
That's as good as getting drafted, because even once you're drafted, you're still not signed to a WHL contract. So you're basically in the same playing field as everybody else that's on that protected list.
And that got me pretty excited because I was like, man, I can make their team. I got listed. So I had a chance to make it to the WHL. So I go to their camp, I play the inter-squad game, and they didn't offer to sign me. So this was kind of the moment when I first thought that maybe college hockey will be a better option for me. My window for the WHL was almost closed. If I would have made the team next year, I'd only been able to play my 18-year-old year, 19-year-old year, and then 20-year-old year, which can be questionable because they can only keep 3 20-year-olds, right?
Yeah, it's only 3 20-year-olds.
For me, I was thinking, okay, is it going to pay to try to sign here, which means I would lose my college eligibility? Or can I play in the MJHL, develop over 4 years, play until I was 20 years old, and then start making my way to a higher level in college? And for me, that was just a better option because I developed slower. I was a late bloomer, and just having more time to develop my skills, mature as a hockey player, just was a better option. And that's kind of why I chose the college route instead of the WHL route. All right, so your turn now. Take us from OHA to the rest of your years of junior hockey.
So OHA, I went there, started grade 11, my 16-year-old year. I ended up playing the first couple months there, and I ended up getting called up to Kamloops because they had a goalie who was injured. We ended up running 3 guys for the first couple months, and then myself and another 17-year-old actually ended up being the 2 guys that they kept. They ended up trading the 20-year-old. So from there, going into my 18-year-old year, my goalie partner being 18 that year, me being 18, they opted to go with a younger kid. So I ended up getting cut that season. I went down to the BCHL in Merritt. It wasn't the end of the world. It was very discouraging and very deflating at the time, I think. But also, after a couple of weeks of being in Merritt and kind of having time to digest what was all happening, at that point, I just kind of thought, at least here I'm going to get to play games. It's always deflating to get sent down to a lower level. I mean, that's no secret. That's not what you're hoping for as an athlete. But being able to play that year, I developed a ton. And then in the summer, Kamloops, traded me to Portland. Straight out of training camp, I ended up winning the starting job, and I kind of rolled with that for 2 years. And after that, I think it was probably middle of December, my 20-year-old season in Portland, I ended up getting offered a professional contract, and things kind of came together. It wasn't always easy, but if you just if you believe in yourself and you believe in your abilities and you find ways to stay positive through the down times, that's what's going to keep you going, and that's a big part of what's going to help you advance. We both really wanted to get drafted to the WHL. We wanted to play in the WHL. I mean, we're Western Canada kids, both of us, and we watched the Brandon Wheat Kings growing up, right?
Yeah.
We aren't going to Division I hockey games. We're watching the WHL. That's what we're seeing, and that's what we're aspiring to be. And I had a great camp my first year there. The team liked me a lot, and I liked the town of Kamloops. Going back again the second year, it felt like a good fit at the time, and that was the dream. That was the goal. It was a good path to take as a goaltender, knowing that I was going to get to play a lot of games. I'm a person that likes to be in a game situation, and part of my decision is also based around the pro style schedule.
You knew that you're going to play more games.
Yeah.
For me, if I would have, let's say, go to the WHL when I was 18 or 19, I didn't know if I was going to get buried there, be the 6th, 7th defenseman, and that's really what I didn't want at that point. It was more of a safer development process for me to go MJHL and play a lot more there than just to sign in the WHL and possibly just not play at all.
Every player is going to be different in their process and their development, and obviously I'm in the goaltending position, and I was looking at some college teams and how many games were the goalies playing, and on quite a few of the programs, and there's goalies, they have their one starter, and then if you're a freshman, you're lucky to get a couple starts, right?
Oh yeah, that's very true.
I think it's very rare in NCAA hockey to see a kid come in and start right away and be a starter for 3-4 years. So for me, a big part of it was opportunity to be able to play games, and I was physically ready for it.
Yeah.
And I was prepared to leave home at a young age. I think that's something too. If you play NCAA, you have that little bit more time, go to high school, kind of do those things. I decided I was prepared to give that up to pursue hockey. But it's a matter of where, can you properly evaluate yourself and your game, and are you ready for it? Yeah. And not only are you ready for the higher level of hockey, but are you ready for everything that comes along with it?
So I posted a picture of this guy on my YouTube. I asked you guys to ask us some questions about this topic, so we're just gonna kind of do a rapid fire, not elaborate too much on this because we kind of hit a lot of it in the video already.
To answer the first part, I've got nothing bad to say about Kamloops. Actually, if you're looking right now, their GM at the moment is actually our old assistant GM in Portland, so I know him personally, and they had a really good year last year, and I think he's got a big part to do with that. But even from the time I was there, it was great. And the last part to go WHL or NCAA, I feel like we touched on that a little bit.
That.
So I think that's definitely a possibility. School's a big part of it, and no matter what level you're at, you never know who's in the building, who's watching you or whatnot, and it only takes one game and one set of eyes to just get your name out there and get you noticed. So just keep sticking with it.
They probably ramp up in the WHL earlier than in college because your season would start in September.
Yeah, WHL, you're heading out for training camp mid-August, and season, I think, usually starts third weekend of September. So, yeah, I think timing is the biggest difference. We're just getting ready earlier because we got more games to play at an earlier date. And I think the only thing in season is I think in college you'd probably be slightly more intense.
That's
because
true,
you play, you're only playing on the weekends, whereas in the Western Hockey League, like we touched on, it's more of a pro schedule, so you're playing weekdays, you're playing weekends. It's a little different. I think earlier in the season we push a little harder, but once you get to that second half, it's a lot more maintenance and recovery.
This is a no-brainer for me. It had to be when I had to pick if I was going to go to Omaha or Cornell. I was pretty much torn between those two places because I had two offers and I had to pick one, and it was pretty much going to change my life. So that was for sure for me the hardest thing I had to make.
Yeah, well, for me, getting ready to leave home when I was young, I think that was the toughest decision. I can remember we made a pros and cons list, and I think there was one pro, and that was playing hockey at a high level. That wasn't an easy decision, leaving everything behind at 15 years old, but it's ended up being probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah, turned out for you for sure. Is the lifestyle and the way the game is played different in the WHL than pretty much in the States, like the homework? Right? Yeah, it's different.
The style of game, I think, in the WHL is a little less defensive, a little more run and gun than college. Just speaking from experience, from talking to yourself and now playing pro with a lot of guys that have come out of college, they talk about how it's a little bit different. I would say for major juniors maybe a little more east-west, whereas NCAA might be a little bit more north-south. It'll depend on whether you're in high school or if you're graduated.
Yeah.
If you're in high school, a typical day for us would have been, head to school at 8:30 in the morning. You take your classes there till about 12:30, and then head over to the rink, get there for about 1, try and grab a bite in between that window or when you get to the rink, and then practice from 1 to 2:30. Then you head home, do your homework, little things like that. And then if you're out of school, depends what team you play for. In Portland, we had to take college courses, so we would head to the rink in the morning. College guys would have courses in the morning, do their workout, then practice, and then the high school guys would show up for practice, workout after practice. Definitely very heavy, very intense, but you definitely do still have free time that you're able, to spend time with your teammates after practice and things like that.
The lifestyle is different too because you guys are still living with a billet family. So college, you're totally on your own. You're not living with a billet family, and that does change things too. Who's the best player you have ever played during youth and juniors? For me, it was when we played in Bantam together. We played against Matthew Barzell. I don't think anyone can top that.
I played against him for 4 years at junior. And I remember the last year he was head and shoulders. He was way too good for junior. He maybe wasn't quite good enough for the NHL yet.
Did he score on you?
Yeah, he scored. You guys probably look it up. I think 2017 WHL goals of the year. I think he had number 1 on me there. So yeah, if you guys wait till the end of that video, you'll see me getting scored on.
Was it disheartening playing the whole season in Merritt as a 17/18-year-old? Did you feel as though?
Well, we slightly touched on this, but I think, like I said earlier, it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
To go down there and just be able to have that opportunity to find who I was as a player ended up being probably, the biggest stepping stone so far for me. You do your homework, you do your laundry, take care of the dishes, little things like that, and hang out with your buddies, and, that's kind of all it is.
If you could go back and choose the other path, would you? If not, would you change the way that you did something? for me, I wouldn't have chose other path because I still did get to go to college. I waited and it did pay off for me that way. I mean, I'm pretty happy where I am right now, so I don't think I would have changed anything.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's really nothing I can complain about. I mean, you know, I achieved my goal. I got an NHL contract, which was the goal, and you know, I can't see a reason as to why I would change the decision I made. D1, major, junior, they're both the highest levels, so I mean, I think I'm pretty good evidence. I went and played high school, which in Manitoba is below AAA. It's not like it would be in a state like Minnesota, so it's about the lowest level you can play at the midget level. If a guy like me can go from there to major, junior, I think, you know, a guy like you asking this question can easily go from a lower level up to Division I. It's not something that happens overnight, so just keep pushing.
All right.
Boom, that's it.
That's all for the questions. Thank you guys for commenting those. We had fun answering that for you, kind of explaining our journeys and why we chose the path in hockey that we did. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for watching, guys.
Hey.